I have a very specific question for you. They say that babies are born with guns in America, and statistically, there are more guns in America than there are people, right? But despite seeing two assassination attempts on one of the candidates itself, we did not see gun violence take a center stage as a poll issue this time. Why would you say that happened?
Well, Sia, that's an interesting question. I don't think there's any other democracy in the world where a presidential candidate has survived possibly two assassination attempts, and yet that candidate says nothing, is silent about gun control, simply because both sides of the Democrats and the Republicans are deeply invested in the so-called gun lobby. And let's not forget, Sia, that the gun control, gun ownership is intrinsic to the United States. It's literally written into their constitution. The right to bear arms. I mean, it's one of the very few democracies in the world where the right to bear arms is a fundamental right. And, that comes from the very peculiar nature of the US freedom struggle in the 18th century, where the freedom fighters led by George Washington actually revolted. They overthrew the British rule primarily, and they made, because they had free access to guns, and they made that as part of their constitution, the right to bear arms. And the British, seeing the example of what they faced in North America, did exactly this in the Indian subcontinent. When they began ruling in India, they ensured there was very strict gun control on the so-called natives, so that the natives could never get free access to firearms. So they actually ensured that they would never see a situation like they did in the United States, in India. But coming to the United States, the right to bear arms, like I said, has been very intrinsic to the United States, and that's one of the reasons you have such a large number of guns there. Proliferation of firearms. The United States possibly accounts for 50% of all of the civilian-owned firearms in the entire world, and the kind of statistics are staggering. Bearing arms and all of that. And that is the reason that you have this kind of, automatic rifles in the hands of citizens. It's, General Sivach would find it horrifying that, there are possibly counties and districts in the United States that would possibly have more assault rifles than Indian Army infantry divisions. That is the kind of, gun ownership that's permissible in the United States. And therefore, both sides are pretty silent on the issue of gun control. So where they would actually go down to, Shria, is the fact that you can own guns, but you can't have fully automatic assault rifles, right? So that's where they draw the line. So your assault rifle can only be semi-automatic, which means it can fire only one shot at a time and not a series of bullets. So you can't have high capacity magazines. For instance, certain states don't allow high capacity magazines. But the overall question of gun ownership, that no one's willing to address. And that's been a big problem, given the kind of school shootings that you've seen. And of course, very recently, the two assassination attempts on Donald Trump. Despite all of that, guns in the United States are here to stay. There's absolutely no question of that ever being an election issue in the United States. The banning of firearms. So like I said, it's going to be these minor little tweaks that they will, with semi-automatic and automatic and high capacity and all that. But overall, the gun lobby is so strong that nothing is going to happen to
Do
guns are
you,
not going to be taken away from
right, Sandeep,
U.S.
do
citizens.
you think it's right to say that they've both sort of played safe around this very topic, around this very issue, when we
You mean
look at the
both
campaigns?
candidates?
Yeah, both the candidates have
Oh
played
yes,
very safe. They
you
didn't
know
want to, talk a lot about this
yes.
topic with their voters.
Absolutely, and the most interesting thing to me, Sriya, in this whole presidential debate was the fact that Kamala Harris owned up to owning a gun. She said she had an
Absolutely.
a semi-automatic pistol that was identified as being a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, if I remember correctly.
Huh.
So Kamala Harris is here. She's saying, "Hey, listen, I'm one of you." And given the fact that how closely contested this election is, that it was until some time back, neck and neck. It doesn't seem to be the case right now, but this election was literally neck and neck. So you have to appeal to every single constituency. You have to go to the blacks, to the Hispanics, to the Latinos. You have to go to gun owners. You have to go to gay rights. You have to go to the pro-abortionists, every category has to be wooed. And when we talk about vote banks in India, take a look at the vote banks in the United States. And possibly, General Sivach would agree. I don't think we ever thought we'd see a situation in the United States where there would be more vote banks in the US than there are in India, Shreya.
Absolutely, Sandeep. Thank you so much for bringing us that insight with regards to this very crucial topic, which we have in fact seen most leaders speak about in general, but not a mention in this election. Yes, Major Sivach, you had a point to make here.
Yeah. What I want to say, Shreya, as far as the gun lobby is concerned, in US is very strong. There's a bipartisan understanding because they fund the election though. So both, whether it is Democrat or Republicans, they get a lot of fund from this gun lobby. So they do not want to stick any laws which are against the gun lobby. And it is impacting the economy of the country. Though there are, if you see, the attitude of the Republican and Democrat is slightly different.
Right.
Democrat wants to bring some strict laws, but Republican don't want. But it is a gun lobby which is very strong financially. It backs both the parties in the election, and therefore, I don't think in future also there are going to be strict gun laws. And this
Absolutely.
way the things are going on, it will carry on in US.